Hi everyone, welcome again to Career Goals, where we introduce you to the different people and opportunities that can hopefully inspire you and motivate you to choose the career of your dreams. Today we're here with Andreas, Sophia, and Felicia hiding over here. And they are the creators of Kombuco Fizz, and they will talk about their product and how their journey has been the last 2 years with this new company. And yeah, so hi, thank you for accepting the interview.
Hi. Thank you for having
Maybe you can tell us a bit about the product, the company, and yeah, about kombucha and about everything that englobes your journey as an entrepreneur, as entrepreneurs.
Okay, well, actually, the whole journey started 2.5 years ago. And our intention was, after getting married and after getting kids, to find a business we can work together. And we are looking around what could be a nice idea, and Sophia finally found the idea of kombucha. We really liked it because both of us, we drank kombucha as we were kids, but we know it a bit differently. And we get on working, and after 2 years, after 1 year, we were ready to go to sell in stores, and now here we are in our new production facility.
Okay, Sophia, maybe tell us a bit about what is really kombucha? What can people expect from kombucha when they're buying it in the store or from the website as well?
Absolutely. Kombucha is more than just a beverage. It is more than just quench your thirst. It's fermented tea, essentially. It's tea, sugar, and a symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. So we cook the tea, we put the sugar in it, and we then add this kombucha culture, and we let it ferment. And then once it's ready, it's being bottled, and then we ship it to the stores or we ship it through the online shop. And what kombucha does, it's a fermented drink. And as humans, we were meant to eat fermented foods because before we had fridges and frozen foods, we had to ferment foods in the summer and in the autumn to make them durable for winter and early spring when there was nothing else to eat. And kombucha is a really good gateway food to get back into fermented foods and to improve our health and our well-being in general.
So why did you start this beverage company? Actually, some people, they're struggling because they would like to have some company and they want to get into the entrepreneurship world, but they don't know exactly what they want to do. So how did you know what you wanted to do, and why exactly kombucha? What was the experience that actually led you to start a business, this particular business with this particular product?
There are so many products, there are so many drinks out there in the market. There's also so many problems. And we wanted to do two things. One is making a product that makes sense. And kombucha just makes sense because, as Sophia said, it's fermented. It's really kind of important for our daily food. And second is that we wanted to show our kids that there's another way than just studying and running to any big corporate. I think we always talk about the old and the new world. Yeah. And the old work is that you do something and you just get money for it, but you don't like it. And so time flies by, and it's not worth it. And the new world is like you do something where you're passionate, where you think about the environment, where you do something meaningful, saying you respect the nature, you respect your employees, you respect your partners. And in the end, you make a product where you think, how can I make a product that is tasty and has a very, very low impact on the nature? Or even better, where you can contribute to make everything better.
That's right, because these days, it's not enough to talk about saving the planet or to talk about living your dream. A lot of people talk about it, but in the end of the day, you have to do it. And you have to just find your goal, and you have to have a vision, and then you have to work towards it, pivot if you have to, but just keep going, keep working. And it just makes sense for us to make kombucha. And it's our passion, it's our dream, and we want to show our children that they can do what they want to do.
Of course, and I think one of the things that I can actually extract a bit from what you're saying is that you figured out what were your values, what do you want to bring into the world with your company, and that's maybe one of the things that people should first know. What am I willing to do, and what am I really bringing to the table to this world, and then from there you get a more passionate company and more passionate everyday life and work. So tell me about what gave you the courage to actually go for it? Because sometimes we are dreaming in our house, or we go for a walk and then we're like super excited about doing something and then we just don't do it. So what gave you the courage to go for it?
Well, for me, it was the fact that Andreas was just away from Monday to Thursday for most of the week, working, and it was just sad to have the children grow up, or our son at the time, with his dad not being around so much. And then also, unfortunately, my mother passed away, and it just made me realize life is short, and you have to go after your dreams, and you just go for it. You just go for it, because there's only one life and you never know how long it is. So you have to plan really carefully. You've got to really suss out your finances. You've got to have a solid idea of your goal. What do you want and how are you going to get there? And if you have that, then you go for it, because otherwise you're just going to come to the end of your days and you're going to think, well, why didn't I do it?
Yeah.
And that's not where we want to end up.
One thing I think that's so important is, making kombucha something that touches your heart, that's also something manually. And I think it's we study and we all work with our brains, which is fantastic. But in the end, down to earth, it's wonderful if you can, on the one hand side, be very creative, work with your brain, but on the other hand side, to work with the earth, to touch something, to put your soul into something. And this, I think, for me at least, you can only do if you have your own product. And so this was important, to have your own product, to develop it. And another thing was, running our own business. I think that's something wonderful.
And maybe tell us a bit about your background, each one of you, because I really want to see what you studied or what you did in life before and how it helped with this company and this business and the product.
Okay. Well, I lived in London for 9 years after finishing school here in Munich, and I studied international business with Spanish, actually. And after uni, I just did the normal thing that everybody does. I went into banking and I worked in finance. And at some point, I just always knew it wasn't really my dream to do this. And then I moved back to Munich and kept working in finance. And also I studied nutritional therapies while I was working. So it was a weekend course over 3 years. Because my passion is in nutrition and in how to optimize people's health through healthy foods. And so that's what led us also in the end to kombucha. And I then worked for my father's family business. That's a food wholesale business. So we built up a really good network amongst people running restaurants. And so we know their business models, what margin they have to make. So we went into the process with a lot of knowledge already.
Well, my background is that I'm an engineer, mechanical engineer. And I worked quite a lot in the innovation consulting. And innovation consulting is something really inspiring because you're working on new business models, new products, new services, and you think about what could be the world of tomorrow. And one thing is so important to think about trends, obviously. And one of the mega trends is that people get aware of functional food. This means in the past, people just consume. They don't think about what do I do with my body, what do I do with the environment. They just consume, and the functional food is that people think, hey, wow, I'm going to drink something, and what is it making to my body? And kombucha, in this context, is the answer, honestly. There's nothing else, beside water maybe, there's no other beverage that is as good for our body as kombucha is. And this is not, I'm not saying this because we are selling the product. This is what I'm absolutely convinced about.
And tell us a bit about that process of just doing it right and actually saying, okay, I have a good product, and about the process of maybe saying, oh my God, this is never going to work. Like, how was it for you guys?
Well, it's a roller coaster,
yeah,
basically, because you connect with other brewers and it's really cool and it's a massive kombucha vibe going and it's great. And then you brew, and then you upscale to bigger vessels, and then you realize the kombucha doesn't behave in the same way in the bigger vessel that it does in the smaller vessel. So brewing kombucha in 2-3 liter batches is really easy. But if you go to 200 liters, 300 liters, it's a completely different ballgame. And we actually got to the point that we already had clients, and we upscaled, thinking this is great, it's going well, this is really foolproof. And we upscaled to a bigger vessel, which was like 300 liters, and it all went wrong. And we had to bin everything we had. We didn't have a backup because we figured it was all going so well that we didn't need one. And so we actually had to tip everything we had and buy a new SCOBY on the internet and start again, start building up like our stock again. And it took a while to do that. And then we learned from the mistakes. You know, we figured out what went wrong, and we just asked in our network, hey, where did we go wrong? How can we avoid this from happening again? But in the end of the day, you have to make your own mistakes, and you make them once, you learn from them, and then you don't do them again. And then you just have to figure out a way to, you know, rectify the situation. And we always do, in a way. So it's
part of
just
the
a roller
process,
coaster.
yeah.
It's part of the process. There are moments of great happiness and inspiration, and there's moments of very deep despair.
What are those other questions that you should ask yourself before you go into, before you open a business, before you create a product, before everything?
Well, the first question you need to ask yourself is there a market for it? So is there actually people willing to spend money on what I'm making? And the second question is, how am I going to bankroll myself for the next 2 to 3 years? Because essentially that's how long it takes for a business to actually start making enough turnover so you can maybe, if you're lucky, you know, make a living doing it. So you've got to have your finances in place, and you've got to have a plan, and you've got to have the steps how you want to get to your end goal.
So how did you determine that this was actually a viable product, that you could make a living out of it, and this was a good business to go into? Like, did you do any market research? And if you did, how was it? How did you prepare for that?
Right in the beginning, what we did was we organized tastings in several locations. So we just took kombucha to several locations and we did tastings. We asked the people how they liked it and got feedback on the flavor. And what we also did is we created a SurveyMonkey questionnaire and we sent it out to friends and family and Facebook and everyone to see what people said about kombucha, about willingness to pay for it. What we also did is when we had a kombucha stall at trade fairs or other sort of green living events, we asked people, how much are you willing to pay for this? Yeah. And also, do you like it? And if you do like it, what do you like about it? And if you don't like it, why not?
And I think this is so important, is that I think many people, they have an idea about the product, and they work on it, and they work on it, and they work on it, and they go on the market and say, here, this is ready. I think it's so important to go out as early as anyhow possible. Don't think about a nice label, about a nice bottle. Just go out with, this is what everybody tells you, and it seems to be obvious, but many don't do it, and we maybe could have done this a bit earlier. Go out and test it as early as possible. No, honestly, there are people that don't like it, and it's fair enough. Consider that the opinions you hear, they are not always kind of right. They're doing you a pleasure. Good morning.
And also go out as early as you can, because if you fail, you want to fail fast.
Yeah.
That's true. What you put out in the market has to be nice for the customer. It's not something that you necessarily have to like. The bait has to taste nice to the fish. And you have to like it too. Yeah. But if we found out that our consumers like the kombucha a little bit less acidic, we make it less acidic. We drink it a lot tartar at home. Would you like to say something? Yes? No? But for commercial purposes, we just bottle it earlier, so it's not quite as tart and acidic.
So probably throughout this process, you were also checking out some competitors, and it's good to know about your competitors so you can be different, and also to see how they have failed, and you can have it as a reference as well. So my question here would be like, what is this thing that makes you different from them, and why do you think you picked those things or that thing that makes you different?
One thing I'd like to add is that yes, they are competitors for sure, but most of them I would consider them to be partners, not competitors, because right now in the very beginning of the kombucha thing, the willingness is to share ideas, to share knowledge is huge. So it's not like the classical competitor situation. It's more like, oh, you're doing kombucha as well. That's cool. I did this experience, and what about yours? And so we're more sharing. First thing. Second thing, what are we doing different? Well, there's a quite very famous kombucha producer on the market, and they just pasteurize and they put it into plastic bottles. This is something we absolutely don't do. We do not pasteurize, and we use bottles. They are reusable, and I think this is so important. Refillable.
So when you were doing your research, right? Probably you were also testing if the thing was healthy, if you could sell it to the market, many ifs. Did you get some help from professionals to do this? I think when we talked off camera, you also mentioned something about going to the lab and getting help from other people to actually test the kombucha before you put it in the market, right?
Yes, many times. And we also got help from our network, because from the very beginning, from the first second we had the idea, we started to establish a network in the UK, in Germany, in America, of other brewers who were willing to share knowledge and to help us when we were stuck. So that's what we did from day one, and that's something that we can only tell everyone to do, is build a network of people that can actually help you.
Yeah, and luckily we went to university, being quite specialized on food technology, particularly on brewing process, and they really helped us. So we are now having bachelor thesis with them.
Okay, sorry, we had to cut for a little bit because Felicia needed to play with something else. But okay, you were saying about your pricing accelerator program, right?
That's
Pricing
right.
Hochschule.
Yeah, that's the first one that really helped us. We were really lucky to be the first participants in the startup incubator at the Institut für Lebensmitteltechnologie at the Hochschule Weinstefan. Yeah. So that was really great. We were able to brew in their facilities, because it's really difficult with the health and safety regulations in Germany to actually produce a viable product that you're allowed to sell to people. So that was really, really helpful. Also, we had a few bachelor thesis students that were writing their bachelor thesis on kombucha. We still do to this day. We've got 2 more running at the moment. And another startup accelerator program we took part in was the program from called DICA, D-I-C-A. And it's an accelerator program from the university in Munich, from the Straschek Center for Entrepreneurship. And we also were able to connect with lots of other startups producing drinks, producing other types of foods. And it was really inspiring, and it was a great network to tap into.
So, okay, to finish now, can you maybe give advice to all the young entrepreneurs out there that would like to start a company, but mostly like a beverage company? What would be your advice for them?
You have to be very clear about whether the market wants your product, because the beverage industry is notoriously difficult. It has a very bad rating, so banks and investors are a little bit reluctant to bankroll you because they've been burned before. And also just make sure you've got enough money for yourself and your life to live for 2 to 3 years is something that I would say. And you'd like to add something?
Well, actually, in the beverage industry, that sounds weird. Don't do anything.
Yeah.
It's the worst industry you can choose.
Find something else.
Except you do kombucha. Honestly, kombucha is there you have a chance. All the other things, they're painful.
Yeah. And also, if you want to be successful, you just have to get up one more time. You fall, you get up. You fall, you get up. You just keep going and going and going. But maybe also pivot. If one path doesn't work, you find another path. But keep that goal in mind.
Be flexible anyways. Yeah.
And network. Talk to the people out there. Talk to the industry. Talk. And share as early as possible.
Yeah. If there's anyone thinking about starting a kombucha brand, please reach out to us. We were shown a lot of support, and we were receiving a lot of love in the beginning from other kombucha brewers. So we want to pay that forward.
Yes.
Great.
We'll always take time for fledgling brewers.
Great, that's amazing, actually. So where can they find you? Your website, social media, where can people find you?
Absolutely. Our website is www.kombuco-fizz.de. And the social media handles are on Instagram, we're at Kombuco. And Facebook the same, we're at Kombuco.
Anyways, probably I'm gonna edit this. I'm gonna put it somewhere here.
Okay.
And down below as well, so you can actually just click it and go in it. And well, thank you very much for this. Thank you, Felicia, for being so amazing. And yeah, please subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell if you want to have more videos like this. And of course, comment below also what you would like to see next. And if you have any questions for them, you can also comment below.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. And let's just
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers.
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 Bye.
Bye.